All right, we've got a few things to look at today. We've got yet another mail merge, YAMM, working in place for us. And then we're going to see how that is actually creating the emails from the Google Sheet that I've got set up. And I'll show you a couple other tricks that I've got in place in there and as far as how that email is created. After that, then we're going to look at the Google form and how that was created, and then the spreadsheet that it populates, and then how it then spits out automated emails using Form Mule and CopyDown. So let's take a look at those things together. Okay, step one in your devious attempt to become a super genius begins with yet another mail merge, or YAMM. So I've got in front of us here a spreadsheet that has the email addresses of the conference or fair attendees that Nigel has provided me. And before we get into these other columns that we have here, including this merge status column, let's take a look and see what the add-on looks like. And so within Google Sheets, you've got add-ons. And I've already got it downloaded here ready to go for us, yet another mail merge. In order to get it, you just would go to Get Add-ons and then find the add-on you want to put in there and then load it in. Yet another mail merge is free, but it's limited in the free version in terms of how many emails you can send out on a given day. I think it's 50. If you pay for a version, you can send out more than 50, and you'll see that I've got that enabled in mine. So when we use this product, we start the mail merge, and it's going to look for a column in your spreadsheet that would have emails in it. And so it's already kind of looked to find out how many it's got in place. And we're going to go and link this spreadsheet to an email template. And so I'm grabbing our add-on here. This refers to this email that I've written. And so what you do is you write an email and you don't send it. So you save it as a draft. And so anytime you just close an email out that you're sending, it automatically gets saved as a draft inside of your Google email or Gmail inbox. So this is the email that we've got created and ready to go. It'll be sent out Friday morning before the fair begins. Inside here then, you can reference information from within the sheet by surrounding the column name by 2 less than symbols and 2 greater than symbols. So where it says name extract here, it's looking for this column called name extract. You need to type it exactly, and it is case sensitive, so you need to have it kind of appear exactly as it's supposed to look like. Now what we can do is we can send a test email to see how it's going to look here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here's our test email now. We've got everything in place here, and so this is the name field that's pulled from that first field, and then this food that we have selected that as well. And so this name here was pulled from that sheet, as well as this food, apple, was pulled from that sheet as well. And so for each email it sends out, it's going to fill in those appropriate names and foods in this case for us. And so each individual that receives this mailing, it'll look like that for them. Now, what we want to do is we don't want to send this right now. We want to send it at 10 a.m. on Friday morning. So we're actually going to schedule this to be sent. So we're going to send this later. We want to send this February 17th at 10 a.m. That's what time we want to send it. And so we're going to schedule that merge to occur at that time. And so at that time, then it should go ahead and send this out for us. Don't delete the draft because it's going to use that. And if you want to cancel the merge, you can open it on their web app that they've got. So on this merge status now, it's all scheduled and ready to go. So what we can look at then is at the fair, because it's already sent out at that time, looking into the future, right, on Friday, we'll now be able to look at that merge status and see if it's been sent, and we will track those emails to see which people opened those emails and what people might have clicked inside the email to see that form. So we'll take a look at that form next. Okay, the next step in our super genius process after we have done our mail merge, you'll notice that in the mail merge, we had a link to a Google form, which you may or may not have filled out. And this is the form as it's created. So this is a slightly different version of it. This is the how it's constructed kind of version of it. So obviously we have a required email field here. And like I noted in the form itself, if you were dealing only with app state people or of a domain that you knew would only be using that form. You could choose to not have a person enter their email and have it just instead require that an email be collected from that person, so it saves a step if you're using this for a class, for example, or just a group of colleagues on campus. So we have that information on here. And then all this form is asking you to do is to submit a number between 0 and 100 and then an animal, right? And so let's take a look and see what happens on the inside of this form once we actually go and use it. So we're going to preview this form. This would be the version that is deployed. And I put my email address in here. Okay, and then we've got a number between 0 and 100. Let's just make it be 25.6. And our animal, will choose a bulldog for our animal. And we'll go ahead and we'll submit this. When we submit this, then it's going to be fed into an associated Google Sheet. And the way you do that is on the responses portion of here, you can then, obviously we're accepting responses, and this is the linked sheet. And so right now I've got it cleared out. We don't have any responses, cleared out any responses that were in there before. So when we submit this, we are going to see on this page here, we're going to see that response come in, and we're going to see a square root calculated, an average generated, and then so what we've got over here is we've got these fields, these columns A, B, C, D. Those are being generated by the form itself. So we got a timestamp, the email address, the number, and then the animal. The square root column, the average numbers column, and the number compare column, those are created automatically by a formula it's in place. And so in the second row here, this is where the formulas live that are doing the work for us. This is the square root of C2. This is the average of that entire column. And then this is a somewhat complicated concatenation, which puts a bunch of stuff together to make that sentence that appears for us. The trick here with this is that normally if you put in information in the second row, it's not going to automatically be copied down to the second row or when a new form is submitted. So we're using an add-on to do that. And the add-on we're looking at here is called CopyDown. And the way this thing works is it lives inside a little dashboard here on the side. It identifies that the formula row is row 2. That's default. That's where it's going to be. And these are the formulas that it has discovered for us. And so anytime we put a new formula in, it will look for those formulas, and then you can decide whether or not you want to use them or not use them. So what's nice about this then is that anytime a new entry is put in here, let's do another one. And we'll go ahead and we'll put the same email address in here. The number, this time we'll do 10, and this time we'll do a RAM. Submit. Here it comes, and then these are automatically generated. So this is the information coming down from that CopyDown app, telling us that it's gone ahead and it's done that work for us. Okay. Now the other thing that's happening here is, in addition to the CopyDown, is that we have another add-on at work here called Form Mule, and Form Mule is automatically generating an email anytime a new response is created here. Okay, so over on our email then, this is the first response we had. The bulldog is spoken. And we have this information in here in which we're giving us our number that we chose, 25.6, the square root. This information here is coming from this column, right? And so the number you chose, 25.6. Now remember, when that entry was submitted, the average was different because the average now is 30.95 based upon this latest addition here. But the time that this email was sent, the average at that time was 41.43. And so that number will fluctuate. But once the email is sent, it doesn't go back and change the email. It's just always going to appear with whatever you had in there. Okay. The second email we got then, this is the one that's looking at the RAM, right? And so now this average here, 30.95, that reflects the average that's currently in place here based upon these three numbers that have been submitted to this point on the form. So that's acting inside this other add-on here called Form Mule. And what Form Mule does is it allows you to create a customized email based upon either a time trigger, so every half an hour, every hour, every day or whatever, collect the responses and then send them out, or you can have them create this response automatically based upon a form submission. So right now I've got 4 different email templates based upon what animal is chosen: bulldog, ram, wolf, or badger. So the next thing we can do here is look and see what these templates look like and how it works inside of FormMule. FormMule, kind of like Yet Another Mail Merge, is a free add-on. The difference is that FormMule does not have a paid version. It's very much full-featured in a free sort of capacity. So these templates that we have in place all look very, very similar. The only difference is that I've got a different image in place depending upon what animal a person chose. And like Yet Another Mail Merge, it uses these kind of double less than and double greater than symbols to indicate that an entry from the spreadsheet is being used. And so again, we have this email address that's correlating to the email address column. And again, it's case sensitive. It needs to be written exactly the same way. Now what it does, which is handy for us, is that over here are the merge tags. And so if I just click email address, it automatically puts that in there for me, written correctly and with the correct name of that column. I've got set to reply, no reply. That means people can't reply to me. The subject line then is using whatever animal that person chose. So again, if we go back to our original emails that we had, the first email said the bulldog is spoken because that was the animal that was chosen. The second email, the ram is spoken because that was the name of that particular animal that was chosen in that one. So again, the text of the body here is the same for both. Choose an animal. And then this down here is a little yucky because this is HTML code. This is what makes that table. But basically what we have here is fun with numbers. It's in a blue color. So if we look at this, fun with numbers, that's the header of that table. And then we're pulling data from the spreadsheet, and that's what is inside here. We've got the enter a number between 0 and 100, the square root, and then the number to compare kind of thing. And so that's being derived from the actual sheet. The image itself, then, this is the only thing that's different between the different templates. So this is the badger template, so we're pulling from a badger GIF. The wolf one is got a wolf GIF, and then obviously the ram and bulldog are going to have their own GIFs. That's the only difference between these particular templates. But you can obviously get very creative. You can have different templates set. So for example, let's say you have a quiz of some sort that you're using the sheet then to grade the quiz, whether they got things correct or not. You could have it send a different email depending upon how a person scored on that given quiz, or whatever response they have, they might get a specific kind of email back. So it's only limited by your creativity how you want to do that. So this is a really, really nice, powerful kind of tool. This one, unlike Yet Another Mail Merge, does not rely upon you creating a template inside of Gmail. You create the template inside of the app itself, and then you can go ahead and use it. And you can preview it and do all that kind of stuff, send however you want to work with it. So both CopyDown and Form Mule are both created by the same company. And it's not really a company, it's a group of people that are actually educators. And they're using this to help kind of teach their classes and do that kind of a thing. So that's essentially the magic that's going on inside here. We've got formulas that are being copied down, and then those specific values are being referenced in the email that's being automatically sent to a person. So you've essentially generated a lot of work and made it look like a personalized response has happened, even though you didn't actually do anything. So you've got some powerful tools available to you within Google Sheets that are accessible through those add-ons. So have fun with them.